Truly, truly Eurotrash, da? Andrew. And this is Gayties Toys. On today's MIA 80s Ladies, we're going back to Jem the Holograms, which I feel like I've been a little negligent on because there is quite a bit of, product we never got from that line in its, fateful last year. That said, I have been obsessed with the Loyal Subjects' new Jem line, so I'm in. So let's just get right into the new trio of villains that are also bee-themed, the Stingers. We've already talked about sort of, a little overview of Jem's history in the graphics video, so if you want a bit more of a deep dive, perhaps check that one out. But for the purposes of this video, we're really looking at, the end of the line. So Jem herself was, of course, a shot at the Queen, Barbie, by Hasbro, and in 1986 and in 1987, she was the new hotness. Although Barbie did strike back with Barbie and the Rockers, Jem was just on everyone's lips on the playground. That said, her meteoric rise was brief, by today's standards, we'll say anyway. Whereas Barbie, really could be anything, have any career, evolve into any scenario. Jem really was pigeonholed into rock star celebrity. So, it was really difficult for her to branch out beyond that. On top of that, Hasbro themselves were not doing fantastic as we're getting into 1988. So between the floor falling out of Jem and Hasbro themselves wanting to cut back on the line, Jem was canceled. That said, there was quite a robust and really fun wave of figures planned for 1988. A lot of them were shown in the pre-Toy Fair catalog that year, and really get a good look at a bunch of them. But others were really sort of mentioned only or sort of shown in collections later on. But for today's video, and it's we have to talk about a male character because this really is a trio of characters who belong in like a band. But that being the Stingers, the new sort of villainous faction of Jem. Much like with, say, Masters of the Universe, who included, the Snake Men, the Horde, as sort of new antagonists for our heroes, the Stingers were very much that. They were introduced in Season 3 in the very first episode, and they were essentially, a new up-and-coming band from West Germany who were coming to American shores looking for a new record label. Jerrica Benton and her rival Eric Raymond, who was the manager of the Misfits, were both vying for the Stingers to sign on. Although the lead singer Riot, who was absolutely infatuated with Jem, he did end up signing with Eric Raymond, and the sort of most of season 3 thereafter really kind of detailed all the new personal dramas between all these characters. The Stingers themselves, I'm kind of reading the room here, are really no one's favorite. Misfits were really iconic, and these were very late editions. So, no fan is really, clamoring for a lot of Stingers merchandise. But, nevertheless, they are part of the lore, and they are characters that I find very interesting in the sense that they aren't, icons of evil in the sense that, say Megatron or Coco, would be. But, at the same time, they weren't even the sort of dangerous, messy kind of vibe that Pizzazz the Misfits were bringing. They were just crappy people. First up, because we have to talk about him, is the lead singer Riot. He had, seemingly a pretty rough childhood, and then sort of went on to become sort of like the bad boy on the music scene. With his just lustrous, beautiful hair, he would go and form the Stingers. And, he had this sort of just natural charisma and charm that sort of got him used to people, falling in line with him, including his bandmates. The reason for the season for this episode is Rapture and Minx, said bandmates. Rapture was, I feel, the more interesting of the two. She was someone who was really a con artist. She would, do astral projections and divinations and sort of magic shows, and it was really like the premier con artist. And it really kind of fit that she would go with Riot, who could sort of make people do what they wanted, but she likewise was just like an absolute expert in that game. Whereas Rapture was the guitarist of the group, Minx was the synthesizer performer of the group, and she was from Germany specifically, which is where they all met and formed their band. She's really more just a flat out homewrecker. I mean, she's just horny, and she's very horny for Rio, who also has problems with dating Jerica and also trying to flirt with Jem, while Riot's now trying to get with Jem. I mean, that love triangle, rhombus, whatever it was. I mean, just ugly, messy. I mean, Jem. I feel like Jem is the actual true villain of the story. Nevertheless, I kind of love these three. I mean, the three of them had a very close relationship that was certainly awkward to watch when you were a kid, and like now watching, I'm like, I know these people. These are messy, bi, poly swingers. I mean, these are just great people to have at a party. People who I know, people who maybe I see a little bit of myself in. But I mean, they were wild childs in the sense that they were bringing the sex to Saturday morning. As mentioned on top, they were planned to be the new villains for the wave of 1988 Gem products. However, of course, the whole line got canceled. We would get them in really sort of their most iconic looks from their premiere episode, and they looked great. I mean, they would have been a fun line, and it's really a crying shame that we didn't get more world building with these new villains. That said, neither Gem nor the Stingers were out for the count. In 2012, Integrity Toys, who were very much known for these very like high-end, bitch face kind of dolls, got the license for Gem and started just pumping out product. So much so that just the next year in 2023, the Stingers would in fact finally get immortalized in plastic. If you're watching this and not really too familiar with, girls' toys kind of thing, I mean, Integrity was almost like the Masters of the Universe origins for Gem. I mean, they went for about 10 years. I think they finally wrapped in 2022. And the other fun fact about this is that I get the impression that they wanted to cancel the line, they wanted to end it, they wanted to move on, but the fans said, no, we will fund your kids' college, but I mean, you will continue to make Jem and the Holograms figures. So, I mean, so much so that, I mean, all the characters got at least one extra fashion. All the characters who were unproduced were made. In fact, I mean, even the Stingers would get two, different looks for the dolls. So, I mean, it's a real testament to this line. If you know, you know. As part of IDW's comics, Hasbro verse, they also did do, I wouldn't say a brief run, but a very, memorable run of Jem and the Holograms comics that were set in modern day, and a lot of the characters were updated. In 2016, the Stingers would come finally in issue number 16, and in this time they would include Raya, who would be much more associated with Jem's drummer, but she started off as a Stinger, and then of course would switch that. And of course, again, time of recording, the Loyal Subjects is doing some Gem dolls, which currently just includes their first Gem, although at Toy Fair 2025 they did show Pizzazz and Glitter and Gold Gem, and they do certainly seem interested in continuing this because the response has been fantastic. That doll is fantastic. I'm not really a doll person, but I can't put it down. It's super fun. So we'll see how far they get into this. I mean, they really are sort of the new hotness themselves, so it would be fun for them to really build our world out at a, let's say, much more affordable price than Integrity Toys. That said, I would love action figures of Jem. I don't know who specifically would do that. I get the impression that Super 7 still has the license for that. They've done some product. They did a few reaction figures of Jem and Pizzazz. That said, I don't know if they're sitting on it as much as Hasbro is. I don't know what's happening with it. But I mean, I think that would be likewise a very fun idea. And again, the Stingers would be a great way to get these figures. So that'll about do it for Riot, Minx, and Rapture from the Stingers, but there is a lot more Gem dolls from that, canceled 1988 line coming, so keep your eyes to the skies. And in the meantime, thank you for watching, for liking, for subscribing, all those YouTubey things, and I will see you next time on MIA 80s Ladies.